The Stanek Gallery is holding its second exhibition, entitled Leap of Faith. Hilarie Hawley selected a group of artists, all of whom spent time at the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts.
My name is Hilarie Hawley, and I am the curator for the Leap of Faith. I was interested in work that had a definitive fingerprint. I also tried to choose artists that were in a point in their careers where it would be most beneficial that they would have this exposure. I feel honored to be able to promote them.
My name is Laura Adams, and I graduated from the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts in 2011.
Laura, I remember you as an extremely promising student at the Academy, and you had a self-portrait which was just fantastic. You have moved more towards pattern painting. Can you tell me how that happened?
That self-portrait was a pivotal piece for me in that after the process of painting it, I realized that the figure and even creating space, that just wasn't what interested me. What I most enjoyed was just working in a very narrow depth of field on the wall. And so that got me thinking about really focusing in on that narrow amount of space, like in trompe l'oeil painting. But in addition to that, I've always loved things that had a lot of detail. And that was why I started exploring patterns as essentially a flat surface that contained a wealth of detail that I could get into exploring. So I started finding wallpaper, pattern papers, pattern fabrics, and then from there I began pairing those with objects, sort of in a still life scenario. I've been working a lot with patterns designed by William Morris, who's a British textile designer. It's the arts and crafts movement, and they're just incredibly beautiful. And so then taking those flat patterns and putting an object on top of it, and then seeing how that object interacts with the pattern, creating an image which almost melds the two together. The objects themselves are either things that I've owned and have a personal connection with, like I'm actually wearing the earrings that are in one of my paintings, but there are also things that had an aesthetic relationship or connection to the pattern. I work at a fine art gallery, and so I was seeing all these frames and then starting to think of them as an art object in and of themselves. I found a pattern that I thought related to it well.
I'm James Mundy.
While at the Academy, I was primarily a printmaker and worked in drawing. That's what I'm showing here. Drawings that have a printmakerly quality about them, that people often look at them and think that they're etchings. But it's pen and ink, built up with a lot of textures and cross-hatching and stippling over a long period of time. Every one of them is a reference to a painting from art history, but the subject matter are freaks, people who worked in freak shows from the 19th through the early 20th century. A portrait based on a Botticelli painting, but features Joe the Big-Fingered Boy. I try to put a little bit of humor into each of them and acknowledge my love of the original source material. If there's something quirky about the painting, I try and play that up as well. When I am trying to find a match for the performer and the painting, it can go either way. A performer that reminds me of a particular painting, or a particular painting reminds me of a performer. Going through eBay, I was able to pick up a pretty good collection of pitch cards that they would sell during the freak shows.
Hi, I'm Holly Trostel-Brigham. I am a feminist artist. I have just finished a series of women who were nuns and artists and writers. The two pieces that are in the show, one is a wasp, a service pilot in World War II. There are 3 relics that go with that piece, medals that were given to a female pilot from World War II, and that is a black and white and silver watercolor painting. And the other is a print based on my painting of Tamara de Lempicka, an Art Deco artist. The print was done at the Experimental Printmaking Institute at Lafayette College. The print is an etching. It has sheen collé, which is collaged paper, hand coloring in watercolor, and the original painting is going to be in a show at the Michener Museum, which is opening up at the end of February.
Can you talk a little bit about what feminism means to you as an artist?
It's a word that has a lot of weight to it, and oftentimes artists are feminists, but they don't necessarily say that about their work. It was something that was being described of my work early on, and I think I've learned to embrace it. I went to an all-women's college. I went to Smith College. I studied art history, so I got to see a lot of the objectified female form in the history of art, and I decided to try to create work that was showing strong women in positive ways.
My name's Adam Fencin. I'm a painter. Representational painting, trompe-l'oeil. Went to school at the Academy of Fine Arts from 2000 to 2005. Prior to that, I studied with a man named Anthony Wychulis in his studio for about 3 years, which is, I'd say, where I learned more of a refined realism. My instruction at the Academy opened my eyes a little bit more, but I stuck to this type of painting. When I was younger and first going to museums and looking at art, I was more drawn to work that was painted tighter, had a lot of verisimilitude. People like Ingres, Caravaggio, or Rembrandt. This is in the late 90s. I was looking at artists in galleries in New York, realist galleries like the Forum, the Marlborough Gallery, and getting to know people like Claudio Bravo or Stephen Assail. That was what I wanted to do.
And I see from one of your paintings that you're an incipient alcoholic.
I guess it depends on who you ask. That still life is a sort of a vanitas. A lot of empty vessels, a lot of bottles, a lot of symbolism that might touch on mortality or life.
How a modern man gets through the world without religion is alcohol and pills.
But there's also a glass of milk. Compositionally, there is a yin and yang with this light background and then this dark drapery and the medication bottle versus the glass of milk, balancing it out.
Anjali Levatino, sculptor.
What drew you to figurative sculpture?
I think it's the fact of finding extraordinary in the ordinary. Is the everyday world that we pass by on a regular basis and often don't have time to think about or stop to admire. But in fact, there's a whole world that's incredibly meaningful, and I'm moved to my deepest core by it. I am a contemporary sculptor reflecting on contemporary themes. So I think the questions I'm asking are contemporary questions. That particular character is the only figure that I sculpt without referencing a specific model. I usually work for models, but that particular guy lives in my head. He represents a disappearing old world for me that is one of the themes that I explore in my work. He has a certain kind of wisdom that comes maybe with age. And for me, I guess the constant struggle is acquiring wisdom without judging.
The portrait of the man balancing on his beard really grabbed my attention.
It's the same character, so he keeps reappearing in my work. And they both have a kind of Russianness to them, a rootedness to them that is my origin, that is something that I am largely, in spite of having lived in the States for quite some time now. I think the beauty about art is that it asks questions, and by asking questions, it's not looking for particular answers. As far as the process goes, I get to sculpt it 3 times and improve it each time that I sculpt it. Once in clay, which is the finished figure, once in wax, which is looking for imperfections, and then finally in metal with pneumatic tools and welding, and then I go over it to reproduce the original clay.
Bronze must be an expensive medium to work.
Yeah, but because I've been doing all the casting at the foundry that I helped some friends build, I've been able to manage my prices.
You're a smart cookie.
I suppose I am.
Hi, my name is Brian Boutwell. My day job is at the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts, where I'm the school exhibitions coordinator. John just was talking about the number of layers in my painting. My first year at the Academy, I had a teacher, Gilbert Lewis, and he taught us the glazing technique, which wasn't too popular with a lot of the younger fellow students, but I really took to it. It was kind of like playing chess, and you saw something slowly develop. And then over the years, then I kind of learned how to adjust the color and to bring it up and bring it back. Oftentimes in my practice, when I don't know what to do, I just start layering colors and see how rich it can get. And if I don't like what it is, I'll sand it back. It's just like playing around with the color, and it's really inspiring to me.
What's your name?
I'm Nicole Michelle.
And are you related to this other person?
Yes, I'm her mother.
Oh.
I'm a painter. The The works in this show are oil pastel on paper. They are very much like landscapes, though they are not based on landscapes. They're started out very loosely, and then they form into their subject matter as I work.
You think of landscape as vast, and your paintings are on the small side.
Yes, they're very small. I never intended to work so small, but found that it's extremely easy to do a series that way, and it came with the territory of motherhood.
So, young lady, do you like the fact that your mother's an artist?
Yeah.
Do you help her do her art?
Yeah.
Some of them take a few hours if I'm lucky, and other ones take a few days. Usually I'll leave and come back, or I'll take the tape off, look at it for a while, put the tape back down, scrape it down, start again. Those scrape down about 3 or 4 times, but I have a couple larger ones where I've scraped them down 7, 8, 9 times. And then you really get an interesting mixture of colors that are right next to the paper layer, and then you can put the thicker colors on top.
I'm Catherine Stanek, owner of Stanek Gallery, and I'd like to talk about Shane Stratton.
This exhibition, A Leap of Faith, is described by Hilarie Hawley, curator, is trust in your instincts that what you're doing is genuine to your passion. And it doesn't surprise me that she sees Shane as a natural relationship to that description, because it's evident from his handling that he loves his material. I've seen him work. He's passionate about what he does. He has this openness and freshness. He has a playfulness in his content, but he also has a strength and a confidence that comes across in all of his work, and I enjoy all of that about it. He mostly works in bronze, though one of the pieces he has here in terracotta, he also has it available in bronze. I met Shane at the Pennsylvania Academy as a foundry instructor. He was my foundry instructor.
I saw references in Shane's work to Giacometti, Marini, and other sculptors.
One of the things that all of those artists evoke is this instinctual response and this confidence in their marks.
The 2 gallery directors are also exhibiting work. Deborah Fine has a mix of highly evocative paintings and pastels, suggestive of nature, with a sensitivity of gesture and subtle color harmonies. Catherine Stanek is showing figurative sculpture made from concrete, using innovative techniques that she has pioneered. She also has prints of the human form on silk, originally drawn on a computer tablet with a stylus. Leap of Faith will be on display through March 27, 2016. The Stanek Gallery's next show, curated by Ross Mitchell of the Barnes Foundation, opens Friday, April 1st. I can hardly wait, and that's no April Fool's Day joke.